Hey everyone, I'm Randall Garza alongside Bob Bettis and Joseph Jackson, and welcome to Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is the best in a variety of fun, engaging, and critical topics we all debate about. Now, the format is simple. We focus on a specific topic on every episode. We are here to answer and argue what is the best on an episode's given topic. Each of us gives our opinion on what is the best and why. After each person gives and discusses why they selected their answer, we will then have a roundtable discussion where two opponents express their opposing viewpoints while the person who gave his answer comes to its defense, and what will make for some entertaining back and forth exchanges. We will each have the opportunity to do this. In the spirit of transparency, we have previously exchanged our selections for the topic's question. This is for two reasons. One, it gives the opponents the opportunity to do their research on the opposing selection. And two, it allows us to have different answers. If two or three of us have the same answer, a true rarity, one or two of us will capitulate and go with an alternative choice, but defend that selection with the same passion and fervor as we would our first selections. Sounds simple, right? All right, so today's topic is best music one-hit wonder. Fellas, before we get to our individual selections, tell me a little bit about what comes to your mind when you hear the phrase one-hit wonder. What does it mean to you? And give me some of your honorable mentions that didn't make the cut. Joseph, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Okay, so one-hit wonder to me is basically a song that just takes the world by storm, played over the radio everywhere you go. You can't go anywhere without hearing it. The thing about a one-hit wonder is it is exactly what it says in the title, one-hit wonder. The band becomes this wondrous thing, group, artist, whatever you want to call it, and then suddenly they disappear. That to me is what truly is a one-hit wonder.
How about some of your honorable selections? Give me some good one-hit wonders.
Sure. It was a little bit tough for this one. One of my honorable mentions was obviously a song that I personally love, Closing Time by Semisonic. The funny one would be maybe Macarena by Los Del Rio, but everybody...
I hate that song.
But, the reason with that one being because it was so good. It was so good that it was so bad. Excuse me. It's so good that it's so bad. They actually did two versions of it, Spanish, and they actually had to do an English version to help everybody, at least maybe try to understand what was actually being said.
What about you, Bob? What does a one-hit wonder song mean to you? And give me some of your honorable mentions.
Agreed. It has to be a song that's, takes the music scene by storm. It supersedes any genre. You know what I mean? Like Joseph said, the Macarena, a lot of times these are songs I didn't want to choose. I didn't want to choose like Gangnam Style or the Macarena or like Mambo No. 5, because these are songs as well. I mean, they are one-hit wonders. They were annoying as hell. You know what I mean? So I wanted to choose a song that maybe like that was fantastic, that was great. And man, you expected great things from this band or this individual or this group. And like Joseph said, they just kind of fell off the face of the earth. My original pick, one of my original picks was by Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back, because that song was everywhere. Instantly recognizable. You hear the first little bass line drop at any club or any bar or any house party, and damn, everybody knows what song that is. So that was my original pick. But having gone through a good amount of them, I made a different selection. But that's what I think personally a one-hit wonder is.
So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what I think a one-hit wonder is. I actually wrote my 5 sort of checklists on what a one-hit wonder is. The song had to have charted. It's instantly recognizable. You immediately recognize it within the first few notes. It's got a catchy hook that we could all sing along to, right? It's a guilty pleasure. So it's one of those songs that, you're either alone in your car and you're listening to it, you're kind of jamming out. And of course, it's nostalgic. I think it's one of those songs that takes you back to a certain place. It takes you back, to a certain time when you were having fun with your friends or when you were with, whoever at the time. It has to have been fun, right? So when I think of one-hit wonders, I kind of categorize them into 2 categories. We've got some very talented one-hit wonders that I really thought were going to have more than one hit. And when I think of like really talented one-hit wonders, I think of Blind Melon, No More Rain. I think of Mazzy Star, Fade Into You. I thought that was a good song too. Thought they'd have a bigger career. Mm-hmm. Edwin McCain, I'll be. I know that's we're in Valentine's Day today, so hey, gotta give love for the love songs. And then I think about really bad artists that you knew once they put a song out, their hits or that one hit was going to be that was it. That was going to be the totality of their career. Bands like Carly Rae Jepsen, Call Me Maybe. That's a recent one that comes to mind. Aqua, Barbie Girl, Right Said Fred. And you know, you could even have a third category where like actors. I remember there was a time in the 80s and the 90s where actors were putting out music. Don Johnson had Heartbeat. Patrick Swayze had She's Like the Wind.
Okay. Don't talk bad about Patrick Swayze. Okay, he's guys.
I know he gave you the time of your life. And then lastly, I think the most notable one-hit wonder that was an actor that was doing a crossover was Eddie Murphy, Party All the Time, which I thought was a great song. Great song. And his music career didn't last. His movie career has kind of been, you know, back and forth. But I remember when that song came out, I thought, wow, Eddie Murphy put out a good song, good production. Didn't really catch on after that. But hey, he had his one hit. So we all chose our best one-hit wonder. And we're going to talk a little bit about why we chose that song. And then after that, we're all going to respond. So Joseph, you picked your one-hit wonder. Tell us what one-hit wonder you picked and why.
All right. So I went ahead with a very recognizable song. I chose Butterfly by Crazy Town. Little fun fact, if you didn't know about this song, is actually based off of a little hook from a song from Red Hot Chili Peppers called Pretty Little Ditty. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. That song is actually from Red Hot Chili Peppers' Mother's Milk album. The song itself was released off of Crazy Town's first album, The Gift of Game, and actually it was their third single. So nobody actually really knew who Crazy Town was until this song actually came out. The single was released a year and a half after the album was released. It peaked at number one on the Billboard charts for I think 2 or 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. And as far as one hit wonders itself, it was released. It was actually recognized as the third best one hit wonder on VH1's top one hit wonders of the 2000s. The list was actually compiled in 2009. So number 3 on a list of I think 50. Not 100% sure on that. Pretty good. I mean, that tells you what exactly a one-hit wonder song is. The video, if you're familiar with, it's actually kind of a little trippy. It looks a little weird. Kind of looks like a little fairy fantasy land with butterflies and fairies.
And ecstasy.
Yeah, it's actually pretty. Yeah, you had to be on something if you were thinking about that. The song itself was written according to Shifty Shellshock about his girlfriend, and it's kind of stupid. He came up with the title by looking at his roof and noticing a butterfly on his roof, and actually wrote the hook there. You're my butterfly, sugar baby at that moment. So it's kind of stupid, I know. But as far as why not, I mean, obviously it charted. We know that. It's personally to me, it is a guilty pleasure song. I'm not gonna lie. My Amazon random playlist, because I heard it somewhere and I said, you know what, I'm gonna hear this song. I'm gonna listen to it. I don't want to randomly hear it, 3 months later. I kind of want to maybe hear it once a week. So it is on a random playlist. I do listen to it when it does come out on the car. When I'm driving, I do turn that up, but as soon as I'm at a stop, I got to lower it because I want to make sure nobody knows that I'm actually jamming to this song. So I will lower the volume. Personally, it just reminds me of the early 2000s, which were great time. We were both maybe like most of us were in our early to late 20s, and at least for me, and it just reminded me of good times, not having to deal with the world around us, and just personally, I loved it. The ladies loved it. So if you had that on a playlist, they sure wanted to hear it. And it actually is very, very recognizable. I can remember being at a local bar and restaurant, and the cover band that was there that night. You heard that little intro. I mean, it's like we mentioned, it's instantly recognizable. You hear that little, opening hook, and you can't help but be like, oh, you want to lose your. So it's still played live. The local cover band will play it at a bar to, get the girls going, I guess. And it's just To me, that is the definition of a one-hit wonder, because nobody heard anything from Crazy Town after that. I mean, and actually, like, I think I don't know if I mentioned it. It was their third single off the album. They didn't. Nobody knew who they were. It was their third single, and after that, you just never heard from them again. And personally, that's one of my favorites.
The only thing I remember post Butterfly, good selection, by the way. I remember when that song was big. I do remember the lead singer, Shifty Shellshock, was on the VH1 Rehab. So that was only his post. I don't want to say popularity, but that was the only thing I remember any of those guys doing after that. It's a great song. I do remember the Red Hot Chili Peppers did take the band on tour with them because they did like the sound. They did like the fact that they utilized their guitar part, and they're really.
They got the writing credits. They got the writing credits for it too.
Nice.
Yes, they did.
Bob, what do you think about this song?
When I heard Crazy Town, I mean, that's just like, for me, I think I was in high school at the time when it came out. And man, that was the ravers anthem. I mean, at that point in time, glow sticks and raving, and if you had a best friend in high school who was on ecstasy or did blow, you've cruised to this song, on more than one occasion on a Friday night. Okay, it is. It's a great song. It's a guilty pleasure. Like you said, I love the fact that you were like, it's a song I'll jam to full blast in my car, but as soon as I get to a stoplight and I'm parked next to somebody else, I kind of lower it down just to make sure that
exactly.
Well. I've done that plenty of times and plenty of songs, but it was a really good song from my high school years, and I can't say a lot of negative about it. Like you said, that they definitely were out of nowhere, and it was a song out of nowhere, and it did top the charts. I just feel like it didn't last as long as it possibly could have. It maybe didn't get the notoriety that probably should have, because it was on the Billboard charts, like you said, for a couple of weeks only, and then it kind of started falling off. They are definitely, by definition, a one-hit wonder. Like you're saying, that the lead singer was on the Rehab show on VH1. I remember watching that.
And actually, it was their downfall. If the follow-up album to the album, The Gift of Game, didn't do anything. They were under tremendous pressure, according to reports, to do another Butterfly, and they actually broke up not long after the release of the second album. So to me, that is exactly one hit wonder. You showed up, you were phenomenal, and you disappeared.
They went back into the cocoon. I will say this, the name of the show is Formidable Opponents, and we did say a lot of nice things about Butterfly. But I do have some opposing viewpoints to this song. And, this was a good song at the time. And I did give it a listen to a couple of days ago just to prepare for this show. When I listened to it, I felt like this song sounds like what I imagine crystal meth tastes like. This is the type of song on a Netflix documentary on women's prisons that would play in the background as we are introduced to the more popular inmates. I just see it like as, okay, here's some like trashy sort of inmates, and here's like Butterfly playing in the background. I remember this song came out during the time where every lead singer had a co-lead singer doing a rap verse. I remember Linkin Park and some of these other bands, and you always had this one guy on the mic sort of like bobbing and weaving, like, oh, he's going to do something eventually, and then he comes in and he sings like his one or two lines, and then you're like, okay, that's his job to like rap a verse. And I'm sure it spawned a lot of now 40-year-old women to get butterfly tattoos, which they probably regret. You probably have a lot of like teachers and lawyers that have butterfly tattoos, or maybe even star tattoos. I remember the lead singer having star tattoos.
Yeah, one of the cheesiest moments of the video is his stars on his arms or shoulders like fly up in the air. It's so cheesy, but great. I'm sorry.
I was looking. One of the things I like to do is when we select something is look at the YouTube comments. And I saw on a YouTube comment, a guy wrote that this was his girl's song when she'd go up on stage. So I'm assuming she was a musical theater major. All right. So, but this is, we are hyping up the song. It's a good song. I don't think it's the best for a variety of reasons. Yes, it is in true essence a one-hit wonder. But I also think that, for me at least, Crazy Town, I would probably put them in maybe the second or maybe tertiary sort of area of one hit wonderdom, because they were big for a second. They were trendy. They looked great on video. They had a very memorable video, but for some reason, I don't think of Crazy Town the way I do of other one hit wonders, or the way the one I chose. Bob, do you have anything negative, or do you have anything combative? Negative,
yeah,
go at him. Yeah.
No, I'm definitely agreeing with the fact that, you know, Crazy Town was like, you know, a popular song, but I mean, it didn't take the US by storm. It wasn't, you know, a multi-genre, like a type of song where, like, if you're into rap, if you're into rock, if you're into country, man, everybody's into this one song because it's just amazing. And I do disagree about the video. You know, I think a video, especially on MTV and MTV's heyday, the video is just as important as the song in some regards, because that's what people see. It sometimes that's the hook. You know, they have a crazy video and then they have a great song, and it just kind of blends together. I didn't think a bunch of hippies hanging in the forest with this glitter effect was that great of a video. So, you know, I think that might be a knock on them. It was a good song. I want to say it was a good song. It was a catchy song. It was a guilty pleasure, but I just don't see the whole wide variety of music fans being like, oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's great. That one's great. That one's great. You know, and I think to be a one hit wonder, or the best one hit wonder, it's got to hit on every genre. You know what I mean? Whether you're a rock fan, whether you're a rap fan, whether you're into alternative or whatever you're into, that song plays and you're like, I don't care what genre it is. I like that song.
I can agree with that.
That's my song.
I can agree with that to a point, because I can't honestly say that, you know, country music fans were just loving that song. But I do know that the song, at least it did get popular airplay on pop radio, rock radio, alt radio. I mean, it was at least, it spanned few genres. But you're right. I don't know any country music fan that, you know, was jamming out to that thing in cowboy boots.
Unless they remade it. I mean,
I don't know if they played it at a hoedown and you know, square dancing was going on. No offense. So
excellent. So Crazy Town, we had our first one hit wonder. Joseph selects Crazy Town. Bob, what'd you select for your one hit wonder, and why?
Well, I went with, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, right? And you know, I can't think of a better decade than the 80s as far as MTV being so huge in music videos and songs. And, you know, I went with three dudes out of Norway. I decided to go with Aha's Take On Me as my number one hit wonder. You know, this song was just amazing. I mean, it took the 80s by storm, you know, not just the song, but the video itself. You know, the song, I mean, nobody even sings until the first 35 seconds of the song. And as soon as you hear it, the first note, and then I think 10 seconds in, the first keyboard sound, you know exactly what song it is. You sing along with it, you know the words, you know, they don't even use proper English in the damn song. And, you know, and everybody loves it. I think it was an 80s anthem, you know what I mean? It was just fantastic. Actually, at the 86 MTV Music Awards, it was up for 8 award nods. It got 8 nods and won 6 awards, including Best New Artist. And guess who would beat? Whitney freaking Houston as Best New Artist. So if you want to talk about a one-hit wonder, if this band beat Whitney freaking Houston, I know you're gonna say, oh, it was just an MTV award, but back then in '86, MTV was
those
the award.
Those awards meant something back then. Not like exactly. The way they are today.
So beating Whitney Houston, and I mean, we all know what Whitney Houston went on to do. And I'm not talking about the drugs. I'm talking about her just excellent career. You know, that was a big thing. Winning 6 awards of that thing, and they even got an Emmy nod for Best Song of the Year. They didn't win, granted, but just being on that Emmy stage, I mean, just being able to be mentioned with some of the other great bands and great groups in that category. That's amazing. That's amazing stuff. It did reach number 1. And I think that's important. Reaching number 1 on the billboards, I think that makes a one-hit wonder. I mean, top 5, top 10, okay, you know, that's good. But if we're talking about the best, reaching number 1 or being number 1 on the billboards, that I think that's huge. That's huge. The music video, I mean, Jesus, you watch the music video. It was one of those things that kind of made the music video industry kind of evolve, I want to say. I mean, if you look at a lot of the 80s music videos at the beginning, there were a lot of stadium and live recorded songs at the stadiums, right? It wasn't much to them, but these guys brought in new like comic book artwork, this kind of fantasy world blend of like live and comic book world, and I thought it was just amazing. And I think people recognized it was amazing. I mean, half their awards were over the damn video, right?
So you want to talk about 80s and cocaine? That video, you have to be on the touch to understand that video.
I mean, the special effects were amazing, and I think that looking back at it now, it's just pure nostalgia. I mean, the way they dressed. I mean, Morton Harkett, the lead singer. I mean, the dress, the hairdos, the type of attire, the type of music video, like that screams 80s. That I just think that it was an amazing song with an amazing hook, with an amazing video, and it reached number one, and it hit a ton of awards, MTV awards, and was nominated for Emmys. Like, it's really, really, really tough song to beat, I think, when you're looking at the overall picture of what it is, and it's still around today. I mean, I think that Pitbull and Christina Aguilera, I think back in 2013, they did a song, I think it was like Feel This Moment or something, and it used the hook or used the beat from Take On Me, and it was a huge success. And that's 2013. That's almost what 20 years, 25 years after the fact. So it was just a fantastic song. And you talked about, it was the first album for Crazy Town, first album, and the third single off of it. These guys tried to make this song work for 3 years. It took them 3 years to make it, and including they released it 3 different times, in 82 and 84, and then in American 85. And when it finally hit and it finally clicked, but they worked so damn hard and for so damn long on this one song until they finally perfected it. And I think they nailed it. They hit the song right in the head. And for them to work so long and so hard for just one song to pop off, you would think that the rest of their careers would be huge, would be great. I mean, they took the MTV music scene by storm in 85, 86. You would think that, man, the sky's the limit with these guys. And again, they fell off the face of the earth, right? They didn't really put out anything that popped. Yes, they had more albums, yes, but they really didn't have anything that hit the billboards that was in the top, top 10, top 5, anything like that. And I think to be the one-hit wonder, like I said before, you got to hit that Billboard #1. And I think they did that. I think they proved that. I think they were a great band. And it's one of those songs that, yes, I'll have on full blast while I'm cruising and probably singing it to the top of my lungs. But yeah, if I pull up to a stoplight, I may lower it down a little bit. But yeah, that's my opinion. That's what I think is makes them the best one-hit wonder of all time.
Joseph, I'll let you answer this first. What are your thoughts?
I obviously I agree. It is very, very recognizable. I mean, when you hear that first intro with I believe it's a synthesizer. I'm not 100. No, I think it was a keyboard actually. You hear that keyboard intro and you know what it is. It is a great song. It's been covered many times. I mean, I don't deny the greatness of the song and the level of success that the band had. But I look at the 80s as far as music. Yes, so much great music coming out of the 80s. But I kind of look at the 80s music scene as one whole big one-hit wonder. So the 80s were kind of, to me,
don't you talk shit about Duran Duran, right?
No.
Like the wolf?
No. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of artists who just had great careers in the 80s. I look more so like there was so much. The 80s were, to me, were a pop generation. Nobody really paid attention to the metal. Personal favorite, or the rock of the 80s. They did, but the hair bands were the same. The 80s were nothing but pop, and so it's like you said. I don't know if we discussed it, but I mean, Eddie Murphy had a hit in the 80s. So I mean, that's. I'm not talking shit about Eddie Murphy.
But having said that, I think you bring up a good point that you're like, that you feel like the 80s were just a bunch of one-hit wonders. You feel like it might be the biggest generation or biggest decade, for one-hit wonders. But that proves even my point even further that Aha was the best out of the one-hit wonder decade of music. I mean, it'd be hard for you to tell me anybody I mean, overall, I mean, in the '80s, much less in any other decade, that hit harder than Aha's "Take on Me" did, or was as popular.
I don't know, that Eddie Murphy song was very popular. I mean, I still want to party all the
time. I will say this: the video is amazing, even by today's standards. Yes, I mean, getting pulled into a comic book, this is a level of romance I want to achieve, right? It's just an amazing, still stands up. You go on YouTube, it has 1.2 billion views. And it's a catchy sing-songy song. Yeah, that brings back a lot of fun memories. I do have some opposition about this song, and it's not taking from the song at all. The song is an amazing song. We all love it. You can put it on, kids will love it. I'm not a big fan of the covers. I love Weezer. I don't like their cover of Take on Me. I like Real Big Fish. I don't like the Scott cover.
I was going to mention that as well. I do love the Weezer cover.
Sorry. You do? I thought they had some good covers in that album. I don't think Take on Me was one of them. It's ubiquitous. It's omnipresent. So I think it's kind of lost its essence in that sense. And let me back up that point. If I listen to an 80s channel on Sirius XM or any other platform, I can't go 3 days without hearing Take on Me. And the selection I made, which I'll get to in a moment, I might wait 2 or 3 weeks. So it's almost like a treat. But Take on Me is it's almost lost its value because it's there all the time. It's like popcorn. You could eat and snack on it all the time. I'm looking for a big meal when I'm looking for a one-hit wonder. And then something that really is meaningful. I'm not trying to say Take on Me doesn't have its meanings for some people, but I think overall the essence of it's almost become sort of like a karaoke song that you drink, that you sing after a few drinks. It's become like the type of song an elementary school teacher does a TikTok dance to show that she's cool.
Is this the same teacher with a butterfly tattoo?
Yeah, it's the same. It's a fun song. I just don't think it has a meaning to it that goes beyond the nostalgic point, that goes beyond, I'm eating my bowl of Fruit Loops. It's Saturday morning. I put on MTV, Take on Me's on. It's a great video. I just don't think it has anything that's impactful. Now, granted, there could be some, people who will, disagree with me and say, well, Take on Me was my song when I met my wife or whatever. And that's cool. But I think overall it's kind of lost its essence because it's so overplayed. It's been around for so long. And I just don't see the meaning in Take on Me, as far as,
I'd want to ask, what would you think if you could say what was the other 80s song, an 80s song with that kind of video that could probably overtake it as a one-hit wonder in that decade?
In the 80s? Oh man, I think the only video that tops Take on Me is Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer. But he had a couple of hits. He's not a one-hit wonder, but
definitely.
Yeah, Sledgehammer was a great video. I also liked Herbie Hancock's Rocket. That was a one-hit wonder. Not a lot of people remember it, but I think that video was amazing. You had a lot of amazing videos. The Cars, you might think was an amazing video, but it wasn't they're not a one-hit wonder. They sing your favorite. Who's going to drive you home?
That's what. Oh, I love that song, especially after a few drinks. But that's what makes it so great. Like, I want to say that one of the Aha's video is probably one of the top maybe 5, 6, if not number one, it's at least top 5 of the 80s genre. And they were a one-hit wonder. Like, the song was great. The video was top 5. Like you said, it kind of proves my point that, Sledgehammer, that song was amazing, but he had a lot more hits. A lot of those bands, they're like, oh man, they had a great video too, but they had a lot more hits. And that's what makes Aha kind of stand out. That one-hit wonder.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying I disagree with it. It's probably one of the top, if not the top of the 80s. If the argument is it the greatest ever? Well, then, that's what we're here to do. We're here to debate. But come on, what happened? Look at 8675309. What, do you know anything else from Tommy Two-Tone? Really? What about Mickey? Literally, the 80s were just the one-hit wonder genre of everything.
A rock artist is not listening to Aha's Take on Me as they're listening to Aha's Take on Me. I'm sorry, but they're not listening to Hey Mickey, You're So Fine. You know what I mean? I feel like the hair rock bands, the hair metal bands, the pop singers, the rap singers, like that song plays and everybody's up, everybody's on the dance floor, everybody's singing along with it. It goes. It can be played through any genre. I think it was well known, well liked, and well appreciated.
It was, and I'm not gonna lie. If we're out at a bar or a restaurant sometime soon. That if that song, if the band is in an elevator, if that song comes on, I'm not going to be like, raise my eyebrows and be like, oh, now the party's about to get started. But yeah, I mean, it's tough for me. The 80s, there's so many good songs out of the 80s. Yes. And I just think that there's so many bands that we never heard from again. So it's kind of hard to nail that one.
I just have trouble calling something a one-hit wonder that I listen to on aisle 3 of HEB when I'm picking up my bread, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Not meaningful at all. No, but it's a great song. No arguing that.
It is. No,
it's a great song. We're gonna go ahead and go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. So having talked about Crazy Town, and I talked about All House Take on Me, what did you think was the best one-hit wonder?
All right, so I went with one that had a lot of nostalgia for me. I decided on Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison. I'm going to tell you why. So it wasn't number 1 on the billboards. It did hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It sampled Genius of Love from the Tom Tom Club, which was another one-hit wonder that they had that same syncopation. It was used in Speed 2, and the Speed series itself is a one-hit wonder, right? Because Speed 2 was totally tanked. It was used... It was used as a promotional song for both McDonald's, the Big Mac, and for Burger King. Burger
sorry.
We're gonna
keep going.
We'll edit that out. All right. Burger King. At least I didn't say Starlet, right? All right. Burger King's Mac and Cheetos menu item, which is horrible, right? But it was used. Both our biggest burger businesses use that song. We've all imitated Mark Morrison's voice. I don't know the lyrics to the song, but if I went up to you and said, I'm a hot to have a hand, you're going to know what song it is, right?
I am. I'm not going to lie.
It's a catchy breakup song. And, when I first heard this song, I thought it was about like some dude that's coming back because, he was our hero and somebody did him wrong and they set him up and he did a stint in prison. He's like, no, the Mac is coming back to take some revenge. I rewatched this video. I listened to the lyrics. It's a heartbreak song. In this video, you see Morrison singing to his ex. It's about bouncing back after losing his girl. It's guised as a catchy dance pop song, but it's truly about overcoming heartache. Yes, he was dumped, like we've all been, but he's been coming back. He's coming back and she's going to regret it. It's his motivation. It should be motivation for all of us. You may see artists starting their career singing about breakups, and Morrison didn't quite get over that hump. And I think that he came up with a great breakup song. It was catchy. It was on all the clubs. And I'm going to give you a quick quote from Mark Morrison. When I wrote this song, it was about my moving on from the negative to the positive. And that's how it turned out. Within the space of a year, I went from the lowest point of my life to return as the Mac and move forward to what's become the highest point of my life. It's a recognizable song, as I mentioned before. It's one of those songs where you could have a bad day. Your pants are fitting tight. And then you go into the car, you turn the radio on. It's like, yeah, here's a little piece of heaven, you miserable fat ass. Here's Mark Morrison's Return of the Mac. You are going to be the Mac for 3 minutes as you're driving home from your tough day at work and your pants are just, suffocating you. The video has a lot of symbolism. There's a snake that represents his ex-girlfriend. By the way, if you haven't watched the video lately, she's got to be one of the top 3 or 4 most beautiful women on video. Check out the girlfriend that dumped some of the videos. She, even by today's standards, I think this video came out in 1996. She is so beautiful. I would be heartbroken. I would definitely have written a song for her too.
I did see the video recently, and the only thing I noticed real quick, I'm not to say I didn't notice the girl, but I saw Mark Morrison. I thought DMX must have worshipped this guy, because every time I saw DMX in a movie or out in public when DMX was big, he's dressed like this. Big leather jacket, long gold chain.
And he's dressed in all black, so he's kind of mourning the loss for his girlfriend. But if you look at his shoes, and he does a lot of kicking to the camera, he's wearing like these clean white sneakers. So there's a lot of kicks and a lot of steps saying that, yeah, you know what? I might be mourning. I'm dressed all in black with my friends, but I got these white sneakers to show you that, hey, I'm stepping to the right direction. Basic dance moves in the video. If you watch him, his dance moves are very dad friendly. So if you ever want to go into the club, you hear Return of the Mac, you might be able to move just like Mark Morrison, who, came from the UK, gave us this great song and great video. And I I learned a lot from this. I've always liked this song. No, even if I didn't know what the true meaning was, I would have selected this song just because it was so catchy and sort of meaningful in a way that it would brighten your day. And I told you before, Bob, when Take on Me comes on, you can't go 3 days without hearing it in some sort of pop 80s channel. But Return of the Mac is almost like one of those treats. Like I'll go 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't downloaded it on iTunes. I don't listen to it on YouTube aside from the research I did for this podcast. But when I hear Return of the Mac, it's almost like a treat. It's like, yeah, it's still there. It pumps you up. It makes you feel just cool as hell, even for 3 minutes. And it's just a great song to listen to. And that meaning just, it sparks me. And that's why I chose this song.
I can't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. I love the fact that you brought up, I do think it's a great song. And like you said, you sang that damn high note, and you're like, oh, I know that damn song. But,
I hit it
don't feel, if you do read the lyrics, you'd probably go back and look back, and it's not necessarily the guy proud breakup song that you might think it is at face value. He does a lot of bitching and moaning during the whole song. He's like, Return of the Mac, and then tears are crying, Return of the Mac, you lied to me, Return of the Mac. So he's doing a lot of bitching and crying for somebody who's like, I'm a Mac now and I'm coming back, you lied to me. It just that's the one thing that bothered me about it. You got to listen to the lyrics, you got to read the lyrics a little bit. If you look into them a bit, it's not like, it was probably an inspiration for Justin Timberlake's, Cry Me a River, but at least in Cry Me a River, yeah, exactly. At least in Cry Me a River, it seems like a shot at his ex, Cry Me a River. Like, I don't care. And this one, he's like, well, I'm coming back and I'm the Mac and you lied to me. And I cried and I cried. That's something that kind of, I was like, man, that's a sad breakup song. That's not like a, you lied to me and I'm coming back and I'm going to be the greatest. And then you lied to me and I cried and you lied to me. One other point I thought I'd bring up, and I think it's the biggest point, having a one-hit wonder, you do want it to chart. You do want it to say, I know you said they hit number 2 on the billboards, but they really did have 5 other top singles. They had 5 other top 10 singles in the UK. I know that's not the US, but they had 5 other top 10 in the UK. I know Crazy was another song off that album, which also he did have 5 top 10 singles in the UK, along with, Return of the Mac. He also had, he had that song Crazy, which was also in Speed 2, by the way, that was also in the charts. So having, again, not taking anything away from the song, because I think it's a great one-hit wonder, but I don't know if it falls in that one-hit wonder category, considering he had Crazy and he was extremely popular, like I said, in the UK. And to be a one-hit wonder, I say you'd have one top 10 in the charts or top 5 in the charts, and then you disappear. But him having multiple songs, it's kind of like MC Hammer. Like you said, he had his song, and then he had, Pray, and then he had, Pumps and a Bump, Joseph's favorite.
But you talk about the UK hits. Well, we didn't know those hits. Like I've never heard Crazy to Save My Life. I'm sure Aha had a few hits in Norway too that we haven't heard because they did a few tours. I'm sure they didn't just do Take on Me and he just didn't do Return of the Mac. They had to fill a 2-hour long concert. So I think he hit big because of the tone of the song. I think he hit big because it was good production value. It was a great video, even though it was very low cost. And like you said, Bob, it inspired. I'm pretty sure he saw, Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River and said, that's the direction my career should have gone, because my song was just as big as that song for the time. What about you, Joseph? What are your thoughts of the song?
I mean, I'd love this song. I do. Negativity, I can't give you any real negative points on it as far as why you picked it. We're here to argue what we think is the best. While I don't know any other songs that he may have done, so that does and Bob listed them, but personally I haven't, so I'm not going to say they don't exist because I trust Bob's research. Personally, I don't know them, so to me, yeah, it kind of does. At least for me, according to my standards, he is a one-hit wonder. As far as that decade, again, I mean, it's not so much a 90s thing, but personally, Vanilla Ice was the greatest 90s one-hit wonder ever. Ice Ice Baby. I do love this song, so I really can't give too much negativity on the pick, man. I mean, personally, I love it. I loved the Mac and Cheetos Burger King. I'm not gonna lie, when that commercial came on, I said, you know what? I don't think I'll ever eat that. But damn, that that it looks terrible, but I love this commercial.
I think we've all said that in college at least once or twice.
But personally, it does. I do love this song too because as a Spurs fan, when Tracy McGrady was with the Spurs, whenever he was going into the game, I know it was later in his career, but when he would go into the game, the Spurs would play "Return of the Mac" when he was going into the game, and the crowd would lose it. You know, so I personally loved it.
Mark Morrison had as many hits as Tracy McGrady had points with the Spurs. He did not score a single point with the Spurs.
I do personally love the song. I am going to blast it when it comes out on the radio. I'm not afraid to keep that one up. I don't care if anybody hears me listening to that one. I'm not going to be bobbing my head and singing it, but you know what? I'll drive to it. I don't care.
Excellent.
The great thing about our topic was, we were able to choose a song out of any decade, which made it, there's, endless and countless songs to choose. And I think we did a great job of picking 3 completely different songs. I mean, who the hell would have, thought that anybody listening right now thought like, oh, one hit wonders, they're probably going to go with, the obvious choices. And we came up with Crazy Town, Return of the Mac and Aha's Take On Me, which is all completely different from 3 different decades, 3 different genres of music, which I think is fantastic, which is pretty cool, man. I think it's really, really cool. I was glad to hear it when y'all brought up, your choices, pre-start of this, and because they're all so completely different and all great in their own regard.
Final thoughts on one hit wonders from all of us. There's probably more one hit wonders that we could go off on than credible artists who had, decades of hits. When I was listing some of the one hit wonders, I saw some really good ones like Marcy's Playground. I saw some really bad ones like, How Bizarre. I hate that song. I've always hated that song. Joseph, I know that's one of your favorites.
I love to play it to piss you off.
And it's just an incredible topic and something you could really delve into, and it's endless. And the fact that we picked these 3 songs, I thought it was a real credit to not only our upbringing, but some of the things that some of our differing viewpoints. Joseph, any closing thoughts on one hit wonders?
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, there's so many, and they span so many genres, so many decades. To say that anybody can pick the greatest one hit wonder ever it's impossible. It's something that it just can't happen. It never will happen, because tomorrow we're going to hear something new, and that's going to be a one hit wonder, and we're probably going to like it because that's what a one hit wonder is. It's something that you hear, you're like, oh my God, you know what? That's a pretty good song. You know what? I dig that. And then we never hear from them. So it's an endless cycle that's going to continue. So while I enjoy the debate, and it can go on for hours and hours, we all know this, to say it can be done, no, I don't think it can. We'll be here for 5 hours or longer. I
have a flight tomorrow morning, so I'm hoping that I run into somebody who works at the airport that asked me if I like Flock of Seagulls. That's our first show, everybody. I don't know what to say, but I'll say it anyway. Listeners, we'd like to hear from you. What are your favorite one hit wonders? Who did we not mention? Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. This was our first show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com. Once again, formidableopponents@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we would like for you to join us for our next show as we discuss best intense movie scenes. We'd love to have you here. For Bob and Joseph, thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you all next time on Formidable Opponents.